A few years ago, I was with my family at a family reunion, and it was kind of funny, cousins and uncles and extended new family members you've never met before are there. And sort of like, instead of being that new kid on the block and the new family member, all of a sudden you were one of the oldest family members. And those families members that were there, or left, shall we say, for a better term, are only there with pictures on the wall. And pictures you've never seen before, some funny stories. My uncle loves looking at the family name and the history sitting behind it, going back hundreds of years, where it came from, and what was it related to, either the French or the German or the English, even, the Saxons, and even going back to the Viking days. He went through everything of it, which was truly amazing, truly amazing. What was more amazing was all the hundreds of photos that he put together to post up on the wall, and people could see the journey, and they were just scattered all over the place. And you would stand there with another uncle or auntie, or a relative or an extended relative, and they would talk about that particular photo or that particular moment or those particular things. Or, don't you remember that, John, you were there? No, I don't. No, I don't. I think I would have been 3 or 4 at the time. Those are the stories that are wonderful, that are just heartfelt, and also really, really exciting. But it's also very frustrating, because that's the only time you get to really hear it. Maybe your family's the same. And it is frustrating, because you go, oh, what did they say? Or what was that story about? Or you see the photo again and you go, I know there's a story there. We need to capture that. Not only just that day or evening, about those family stories and those funny moments, and your uncle driving a train, and you go and see your great-grandfather with one of his cars, and you just look at that car and you go, wow. It's sort of try and transport you back, but you just can't get the connection. You want to, but you just can't get that connection. But when you hear the story and it tells you what the car was and what they did with it, and how they put 7 kids into the car and they drove around everywhere, that turns it into a memory. That turns it into a very special moment. For me, I was lucky. I actually recorded, and I sat down with my uncle about 2 weeks later, and we went through it all again, and I recorded it. In fact, we went down to the train depot that this really had all these old trains, huge. In fact, I didn't realise how big trains were until you actually stand next to them. And so I recorded him, and I asked him questions about it. I have those recordings, and they will be available on 4everstory, because now I've captured them. And I am privileged, I'm absolutely blessed that I had those times. And they're heart-filling. At the time when something happens to my uncle, it's going to be very sad. And I will be sad. But I'll be glad that I actually did that. And more importantly, it's not sitting in a box. It's not sitting in some place. It's sitting on a timeline. It's sitting in my uncle, and I can honour him, respect him, and I can share it with other people, because it's valuable. And it's valuable to me. It's valuable to our family and family future to come. So that's why we created 4everstory, to not only just live a night or a day when we talk about our families and the crazy moments, and more importantly, what our uncles used to get up to before they were uncles. Like, go figure, they had lives before we were kids. I didn't know that. But more importantly, I now know, and now I can share them with my children, and they'll be able to share it with their children and their children, because that is very special. And that's what we should be doing. 4everstory allows you to do that, because that's why we built it, that's why we created it. So please join us in creating these unbelievable, timeless, precious stories forever.